This is the Lydian Spin, and you know we're not going to stop. But we would appreciate any help we can get because, look, our mouths do not run on gas and air alone, occasionally food and drink. So if you wouldn't mind contributing, no contribution, too large or too small, because we're just going to keep going whether or not you help us out. Your gain, your loss.
The PayPal is paypal.me/TSD1975. That's paypal.me/TSD1975.
It would help. We're going to keep going. You know, we don't like to beg, and certainly we're not, but actually, it's a fucking command. Take it or leave it. Thank you. This is the Lydian Spin. This is the Lydian Spin with Lydia Lunch and Tim Dahl. Here we are in a trucker's parking lot somewhere in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, in the Poconos. Or, no, I think we're in the Poconos. We're past Scranton.
Well, we're heading elsewhere. So anyway, Tim, what's on your plate today?
You know, Oxford has this theory, and I don't know how. I'm still trying to figure out how they can prove it, but I think it's based on all the primates, observing them. They claim there's an 84% probability that kissing is 21 million years old, that Neanderthals were basically kissing a lot. And it's an expression.
Get fresh, Tim.
Well, I mean, kissing is also an important part of evolution and disease, and of course immunity to disease, and it's kind of evolved, they claim, into an expression of love, which is basically trust and intimacy and all that stuff. But I just don't like the idea of imagining Neanderthals like Frenching.
You know, look, I can't say I haven't Frenched a few Neanderthals in my day, but that's just what happens when you're a woman, because most men are Neanderthals. Hey, what about that orange shark?
Well, I'm still, I read just a little bit about that, and I still got to find out if it's a mutation or it's a new species. I
think it's just a unique creature out there in the oceanic wilds.
Well, like lobster, you have these like
blue ones.
You have 1 in a million kind of different colored lobsters, which is pretty insane.
Tim, if you were a lobster, what color would you be?
Oh gosh, an albino one, those white ones.
A white one with hazel eyes.
Oh gosh. I mean, well, lobsters.
That one would eat you.
Of course, lobsters aren't. The main lobster is not red until you cook it. For anyone who's never cooked one before, you don't want. If it's not red, you have to be like, oh, is this thing done? I've kind of evolved in terms of my lobster preparation. I always traditionally boiled it, but I'm all about steaming it now. It really has a better flavor, and it's less like, explosive when you open it with like water pouring out. So it's just the whole experience I find better.
Well, I've eaten one of your claws before, and I will eat another one in the future. But in the meantime, I'd like to transgress into something that turns my fucking stomach instead of fills me with joy from eating a lobster claw.
All right, please.
I think that it's highly appropriate that this very week, as numerous survivors of the sex trafficking pedophile predator Jeffrey Epstein forced the hands of the fucks in the Senate to unanimously, except for one, pass the bill to release all the files, which, trust me, half the Republicans have had their hands in the tills for months, were probably able to wipe some of their millionaire buddies' dicks off the script. And just to prove how much he respects, I should say disrespects, human and especially women's right, that convicted sex predator and pathological liar whose very soul stinks, as evidenced by him spraying the Syrian president and former al-Qaeda commander Ahmed al-Sharaa, once branded a terrorist, now welcomed warmly by Trump to the White House, which should be turned into the big house, who finally buckled, that would be Diaper Donnie, and claimed, although you can't trust a fucking word he says, that he wants to release the Epstein files, and on the very day, the would-be Burger King welcomed the killer crown prince Mohammed bin Salman of Saudi Arabia into the White House. Now, MBS, who first gained widespread notoriety for ordering the brutal murder in 2018 of Washington Post journalist Jamal Khashoggi, a Saudi citizen and legal permanent resident of the USA. Hey, but no biggie, no biggie. Trump just assassinated at least 60 or 70 Venezuelan fishermen looking for fentanyl. Wrong country, you freaking dolt. And there he goes, Diaper Donnie. Naturally wants to rub up against MBS and Saudi Arabia, who is executing prisoners at a record rate. And they maintain an unprecedented crackdown on human rights. And dozens of activists and writers languish in Saudi prisons for speaking freely, something that Trump would like to see happen here as he tries to drive every comedian off the air. Saudi authorities are reneging on their promise to halt the death penalty. What they do, the death penalty for juveniles, meaning they execute individuals for crimes they might have committed when they were children.
So they retroactively that fuck off.
Saudi Arabia remains near the bottom, the very bottom of the World Economic Forum's Global Gender Index, coming in at 132 out of 148 countries in 2025 for freedom of expression, which is severely restricted by their counterterrorism and anti-cybercrime laws. Another thing Trump would like to instigate, except for cyber crimes, he's committing one by every time he fucking tweets on his failing social truth, anti-truth network. Women and human rights defenders have been increasingly targeted by Saudi authorities and given lengthy prison sentences. We know this. But anyway, Dumpty Trump, his criminal con job son-in-law, has why do we have Saudi Arabia and the fucking White House? Kushner the Khan, that is the son-in-law, extracted already $2 billion from the Saudis for his affinity partner Shell Game, personally garnering $125 million in the art of the steal. Most fucking corrupt cunts come together, painting the town gold as they rip off the rest of us. Fuck off. You're right, Tim. 2, 3, 4. How many terrorists in the White House this week? Stop the count.
Yeah. Well, it's not a surprise. And it's just yet another reason why this guy sucks.
Well, it's just another reason why this is the Lydian Spin with Lydia Lunch, Tim Dahl, and our special guest, Jasmine Hirst.
And this week we're on the road. So if you're in Chicago, well, you're going to miss it because Chicago's Thursday. Detroit, Cleveland, Pittsburgh, or Harrisburg, come out and check us out.
This is the Lydian Spin with Lydia Lunch and Tim Dahl. And I would say my favorite collaborator, Jasmine Hirst. We've done so many videos together, I don't even know how many, so many photo shoots. We've done the documentary Artist, Depression, Anxiety, and Rage, which is playing next week in Harrisburg at the Midtown Cinema. And Jasmine right now has been very involved in the Netflix special, which has raced up the charts in all countries. Aileen Wuornos, Queen of the Serial Killers. Welcome, Jasmine.
Hello. Good evening.
Today, Jasmine, we were both watching the survivors of the Epstein sex trafficking scandal in our various boudoirs and texting each other. And, I can't help but think, so brave of them. I wish the other 1,000 women all had stormed the White House or more. But also, it just brings me back to my original theory that I wish mothers would teach their daughters at the age of 6 how to incapacitate a man. Now, of course, the men that have trafficked these women threatened them, manipulated, coerced. I mean, it's more complicated than that. But if a 6-year-old knows how to headbutt a sack of nuts, how to crack a fucking dick, how to poke somebody's eyes out, or how to throat punch somebody, or how to scream in their face, because a lot of times, I mean, these women were teenagers when trafficked, and of course, the trauma lives on forever. But it often starts with very, very young girls.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. If I had been taught not to obey adults, but to say fuck off at the age of 6, my whole life would have been different. But I was trained to be a passive female and just to accept. So I agree.
Well, and so many girls, young, 3, 6, 9, they have no concept of what's going on. And the manipulation is so incredible on so many different levels. And the thing is, this is as old as the cave itself. So fortunately, after we were done texting ourselves and went on to our other work, there was the vote in the House of Uncommon Perverts that they're going to release. Hello, how far they're going to get the Epstein files, we'll see about that. But we know what's been happening, and we know that 65,000 missives may have come out, and there's 300 trigabytes left. But names are names, and somebody needs to start dropping them. And the convicted sex felon predator in the White House, he finally flip flops because he knew he had no choice, who was mentioned 1,600 times at least.
I know, but the Republicans are gonna filter out a lot. They're gonna filter out a lot of motherfuckers.
Yeah, and they claim now that they're gonna try to filter out the victims' names. Well, I bet of course, a lot of victims don't want their names in there, but that's the more important thing is they know who the criminals are, and they have for decades. So, Jasmine, we met when you ran up to me on the streets of, was it Sydney?
Uh-huh.
Why did you run up to me on the streets of Sydney?
Because I was about to see you that night, and we were actually on Darlinghurst Road, and I'm Jasmine Hirst, Darlinghurst, so that was something. And I had a gift in my bag for you, and I just ran into you on the corner, and I said, I have a gift for you.
And the gift was a T-shirt of you holding a gun that said, "So many men, so few bullets," which really touched me. Because I never have enough bullets or arms. What did I sing to you today? Well, watching Mike Johnson once again lie through his false teeth, so-called Christian. That's when I reach for my revolver. That's Mission of Burma. Give a plug. And so what else? You as is most of our relationship, with so much synchronicity that, of course, you're going to run into me on the street of a foreign city. Well, I'm just happened to be on a corner as I'm passing you by. But that's when you invited me to be part of your original filming of Aileen Wuornos, because you had somehow gained permission to go to death row to film her. Do you want to talk a little about that?
I'm a little brain dead tonight, so you can do all the
talking. Are you a member of Congress? Are you a member of the Senate?
Well, let me just ask you a very simple question. How? Yeah.
What was the question?
Is, what first piqued your interest about Aileen Wuornos, and then how did you get access to her?
So I saw her photo in the newspaper, and something went bing, bing, bing. And Lydia would understand this, like just a recognition, something beyond me. Absolutely. And I just felt like I knew her. And then synchronicity again, the next day, ran into someone who was obsessed with some guy who was obsessed with serial killers, and said, "Here's Eileen's address. She won't write back to me." And so I had the address, and then I wrote, and she answered. The fact that she even answered, because she had...
Was she in prison at this point?
Yes.
So you had her
she'd already been sentenced to death row at this stage.
And by the way, you didn't have a letter. You have a stack of letters that are about 3 inches thick. And just to pause there for a minute, one Valentine's Day with Tim Dahl and Matt Nelson, I decided to read some of these letters, much to many people crying. And we then did, and we should put them up. We're going to re-advertise them on this. The videos we did where I'm reading one of Eileen's letters, and then I'm actually arguing with her in another reading because...
Well, Jasmine, you were there. You were at that Valentine's show. I remember.
I filmed it.
Well, there you go. You were beyond there.
You asked me at that moment, I believe, when you ran up to me with that gift,
if I would be part of this documentary. Did you not? Your documentary before this Netflix thing came out.
I did. Okay, my brain's starting to work again. So, yeah, so I had filmed her. I really wanted you in my film, my documentary about Aileen, because there's something about, I think, you having had lived a similar life to Aileen anyway, and the
As
power
my
of
old boyfriend used to say, where are the bodies? I'm like, why would I tell you? Similar to Eileen, what do you mean by that? Poverty, drugs, criminal abuse at the hands of others, criminal abuse at my own hands. Carry on.
Exactly. Well, starting very young. And then you found creativity and you found music and writing, and Eileen didn't get the opportunity to do that. So I really wanted to hear you talk about that. So I think we filmed the best interview I've ever filmed with.
I think it's the best interview I've ever been involved in. And that's when I dropped that brilliant line that she's already been suicided by society. Now we're just getting rid of the body, which is.
Well, don't give too much away, Lydia, because I am going to finish this film. But anyway, it's.
I want to talk about you not finishing the film. Then we're going to get back to this. Your documentary, and we're going to go back to how you even were able to go and film her on death row, hung like a ghost over your head for many, many years. And in a sense, it was kind of a payoff in the end, because then some of your footage was then in this Netflix documentary, which is getting much more attention, as it should be, than obviously any of her singular solo or collective projects get.
Yeah, exactly. Now I see in hindsight why, I tried for 30 years to get funding to finish it. A lot happened. Now I see why it had to wait so long. To some beautiful woman, Polly Greedham, whose development for BBC, she found me. And as you can imagine, I've had lots of people wanting this footage because it's a gold mine, really. And I would ignore all these emails from producers. But this email from Polly was something else. Like, it showed integrity and humanity that I hadn't read in any other producer's email. So I did write back, and then she flew to New York, and it was 2020. COVID was happening. We walked through Central Park and we just talked and talked and talked. So it's taken 4 years for this film. That they chose a wonderful director, Emily Turner, who I think has done an exceptional job, and Jinx Godfrey is the editor. So they put together all these women, and now all I had to do was surrender my control and to hand it over to these incredible women, because what has happened since it's been released, and you're right, Lydia, no film of mine is ever going to make international impact. It will be in bars and art house cinemas if I'm lucky.
I will take them to those bars and art houses, which is why I am a road dog, taking our film to art bars and restaurants.
Exactly. I mean, I'll continue to do that, but that's all I had to do. I don't trust any process whatsoever. So it wasn't about trust, but just to surrender to these women, and they were filled with integrity. And I think they've done a really good job. And what's happened since the release on October 30th is I have been overwhelmed by women throughout the world who found me on the internet and have written to me about the impact of this film. It's been unbelievable. And some of them tell me their own sexual assault stories and their own trauma. And this is why I make art. So, and you do it too, Lydia, to give voice to the women who have no voice because they're dead, or they're in institutions, active addiction, or they have no opportunity to speak. And the common thing all these beautiful women have said to me from Turkey, Brazil, all over the place, is that they felt seen, that Me Too failed dismally, to change anything, but there are still millions and millions of women throughout the world who are being sexually assaulted as we speak, who live with trauma, and nothing's changing, but they felt seen. So maybe watching this, and I've had a few sex workers write to me and say, I feel seen, like I am living Eileen's life on a daily basis, and they just,
Well, and as I called her, the patron saint of every woman that could not take out their abuser. Because if we did, there'd only be conspiracy of women, planet of women. Not all men are abusers. We know this. And often it starts in the family. Hello, Virginia Gilfrey. It starts with her father, with her brother, with her uncle, whatever. And then it just, once you have been traumatized or victimized, you might continue on that road self-flagellating. I took another route for some reason because I knew I had to also be the voice to speak out. My first spoken word piece being Daddy Dearest, about this kind of chronic, hysterical, perpetual abuse. And that's why I think it's so important for women to not only speak out, but to really be psychically, psychologically, physically, and emotionally trained to defend themselves. Now, it's hard to defend yourself against somebody who is threatening you with government assassination, holding money over your head because you need braces or your mother has cancer. Hello. This is just two examples from the Epstein files.
I have a question though, because the comparison with you with Lydia, or with, I'm sorry, with Aileen and Lydia, and I don't want to distract from her from Aileen's actual traumas and abuse, because those are real and heavy. But Jasmine, you would know this because Lydia is very, I think, mentally stable, and was Aileen Wuornos that she suffered from mental illness, and then this just kind of triggered and just created a snowball effect that just no one was there to help her. The system just fails her from every angle, from every step of the way, or is this completely environmental that led her to the point of where she ended up?
The most significant mental illness she had was being traumatized from multiple rapes and assaults. Right. I mean, there's your first mental illness, which is PTSD, depression, anxiety, poverty,
trauma,
neglect,
poverty, drug abuse, neglect,
abandonment from her family. I mean, if you want to call it a mental health issue, that's it.
It's a human crisis issue.
Yeah, well, everyone has a breaking point. Everyone has a breaking point. So I didn't know her foundation. I know we will never know because it started so young, and you're not even developed yet. And as far as I don't know how old she was when she was first assaulted, but as what I've gathered, she was very, very young.
Yeah, but as she says in your footage, Jasmine, outside, I don't know if also in that she had been raped more than 60 times at least.
Jesus.
At least, yes.
And here, I mean, why does any woman turn to prostitution on that level, which is so hardcore, is because they're freaking poor. Mm-hmm. And either they're poor and they need money to live, or they need money for drugs to try to kill the pain, which will never go away, and drugs aren't going to solve that. And I
have a question for both of you, and because there's no real answer. Where is the failure in the system, the protection, the systems? We saw it with Mangione too, this kind of retaliatory vigilantism, and that's where, and then they end up in jail, even though there's all these blocks that are being built the whole time of pain and suffering and violence against people like them, or in the case of insurance industries, against just the general society. How is that all overlooked? And then once the retaliatory vigilantism, murder or whatever happens, that's when suddenly the rule book comes out, and that's when Tim, the system throws them in jail.
Like I said in this intro, that we have as sexual predator in the White House who invites 2 terrorists and murderers in the same week to the White House today, on the same day that the survivors of the Epstein sex trafficking are standing on the steps of the Capitol. So, hello.
Yeah, no,
that
I mean,
answers your question.
No, I mean, it's clear. I just,
as we said.
Yeah, it's just.
What's your
tragic.
question? I've already forgotten.
Well, no.
What is the question?
The question. I'm just. It's not even it's an observation, but I'm just curious what your theories are on this. Why are the protections, the safety nets that are supposed to help society, failing at this degree, to the point where you have retaliatory vigilantism, where someone wants revenge? In the case of Aileen Wuornos, or maybe in the case of, we just saw with Luigi Mangione taking out an health insurance CEO.
It's misogyny. It's
maybe. I mean,
you
that's
want to
definitely
break
one of
it
them.
down to one thing. It's misogyny. That the sexual abuse of, especially girl children, many male children are sexually assaulted too, but I'm just going to stay with the women. Tim, it is so endemic. It's every fucking day from every avenue. The legal system is a complete failure at helping women who have been sexually assaulted. I mean,
as this case with the Epstein files, which has gone on for decades, proves. So many people knew and were involved. Okay, the people involved aren't going to say anything. So many people knew. And if they weren't involved, why didn't they say something? It was fucking obvious. But again, I always bring it back to Desaad, who warned about this in all of his writing, that the rich can do whatever they fucking want, and they can fucking kill at random. What surprises me in all of this is that we don't even know how many male serial killers there are who are taking revenge against the girl that, denied them in high school, the mother that was a prostitute trying to feed her freaking kid. But there's so few female serial killers. Now, I'm not saying that there should be more, because that's not enough to solve the problem. I have bigger dreams, if you know what I mean. I'm just saying. Ha ha.
Tim, I think it would be just about impossible, unless you lived in a female body, to understand that this is a constant war if you're female. So I don't know how else to describe my experience of life.
Right.
And I think also in these days of the incel and of as misogyny gets worse, as there's a president who invites into the White House one of the countries that has the worst human rights and women's rights. The 138 out of 142 countries. That's how good Saudi Arabia is at dealing with the rights of human beings, who is now with the Burger King. Okay. All right. Going to more of that in the intro, but yeah. Women, even just walking down the street, anything, there's going to be, and again, it's not all men, but how then can the good men even fight the uprise of what has become now, like the Nick Fuentes, the Andrew Tates, even the fucking Trumpers? Not saying all of MAGA, because you know what? It was MAGA. Hang on. It was MAGA, actually, that was really forcing Trump to abide by another one of his false promises that he had no choice but to buckle to right now. No choice.
It was the county sheriff of what was it? West Palm Beach, or he was the one that wanted to go. The one that was, I think he took one of the survivors under his wing and really tried to push it. I think it was under GW. Basically went all the way to the top of the Attorney General, and they basically squashed going further at that point.
Well,
which means that was basically, that came from GW. So talk about elite guys. All of them are in on this. It's kind of insane.
Well, and it was Julie Brown, that the newspaper reporter, that would not let this go. And still, here we are more than 30 years later, more than 1,000 victims. How many criminals are involved? We have no clue. We want somebody. All right, Marjorie Taylor Greene, now coming to the other side, stand up and call out the names you already know. I don't care what party they belong to. What the party they belong to are the rich and the criminal, period. Jasmine, how about a more enjoyable topic?
Subject?
How about a cheery topic?
Okay.
What would that be? I can't even imagine.
Well, that would
Well,
be
you're
our
smiling
collaborations.
right now.
And in spite of let's go back to this for a minute. How did you get the funds to actually go to death row to interview Aileen?
I applied for funding from the Australian Film Commission and I borrowed $20,000.
Okay.
Wow.
Bold. I mean,
which I
that's
still owe.
If only ghosts had bank accounts, they don't.
Yeah.
Well, it was not a sacrifice. It was a sacrifice on your part, but it was also a mandatory investigation into somebody who really speaks on so many levels to why I don't understand why more women, well, one reason more women don't kill numbers of people is because usually they only kill one person as opposed to becoming a serial killer. That's just the way it is. And they usually only kill their father, their husband, their lover, sometimes their children.
And then they go to jail for
Well,
killing
much
the
longer,
violent
yes.
husband.
Yeah.
Right.
did you like the movie Monster?
Yeah, I thought Charlize did an incredible job having, seen Aileen move and live and be. She did a remarkable job. It seemed like she was almost channeling Aileen sometimes.
And taking in a grand unglamorous role to get a point across was very, very important.
Yeah, well, I think they focused more on Charlize becoming, ugly more than the issue itself. Like, oh, Charlize is so brave for,
right.
putting those false teeth in,
Pretending to
putting
be
on
somebody that suffered their whole
10
life.
pounds. So it's, yeah, but then I think generally Monster was a good film.
Yeah.
What
Well,
did
and
you
next,
think?
Ryan Murphy, who gets 80% right and 20% very wrong after the Ed Gein monster, after the Menendez brothers, some of my personal heroes, by the way. They went after the original perpetrators. Sorry, they're still in prison. I'd break them out if I could. He's now, Ryan Murphy, doing an Aileen film with perhaps Sarah Paulson in the role, which could be, she's great in most of his stuff. But I think that what you have accomplished by holding on to as Hubert Selby once said, when he took him 20 years to finish one book, he's like, it was like there was a ghost in the doorway. And I think that's also what you had with Aileen. And which is why, because we filmed some of her letters, we've talked about her numerous times. You had the footage, but it wasn't until, and it was so good to wait so that it could get a broader audience, your participation in this Netflix, Aileen Wuornos, Queen of the Serial Killers. So, Jasmine, we met then on the street under the auspice of Aileen Wuornos, with you giving me a T-shirt that said "So many men, so few bullets," and I guess it was just like we're in it together. But you were in Australia living. I don't know where I was living at the time, and I don't remember what year that was. Do you?
If I had just filmed Aileen, it would have been 1997 or 1998. And then I can't remember when we reconnected in New York.
Well, I know when we reconnected in New York. I don't know if we had contact between that, but I think it was when I came to New York to start doing Retrovirus with Tim Dahl.
Yeah, that was it.
Well,
we did
Tim
have
Dahl came in.
contact. You'd send me beautiful postcards. And yes, but I do want to say here before I forget that I get my rights back from all my footage from Netflix. And I have already started editing my own film because I want the interview with you and other interviews I did at the time. And it'll be very different from the
You also
Netflix.
interviewed Penny Arcade, Nan
Yes.
Golden, who
Yes, and
Yeah.
and numerous Australian women who are now dead. So I've got all these dead people in, but I think it's the focus is on how she's become a cult heroine hero for so many girls and women, because we're not even allowed to fantasize about killing the rapist. God help us, we should get angry. But
Well, that certainly hasn't stopped me, now has it? No, no, no. And I guess that's why, Jasmine, you were probably attracted to me in the first place, and
because
why
you're
I
a
was.
serial killer. Yeah.
Hey, you haven't seen any of the bodies. Stop that now. I'm a serial confrontationalist.
Serial
because yeah, I'm a serial performer. Because also just your understanding of what I do, your filming, your photography, it's so easy for us to work together. And we've done so much. We don't even know how much we've done. We just have done it and done it and done it. And then eventually it did end up with artist depression, anxiety, and rage, which again is playing next week. And the thing is, we were talking today, and I said, you know, this is why I have to be a road dog, is to bring things like our documentary, is to bring things like my stance on the global corruption of everything, on the patriarchal corruption, on the soul murder that we just all live under, no matter men or women, thinking men and women. And I was happy that you were getting some attention, because you don't want to be on the road like I have to be on. I have to be on the road. I have to bring my message out there. And also, I forgot to tell you today when we were talking, is in Switzerland in May at this big exhibition that goes on for 2 months. We're going to have a room of all of our whatever videos we want to put in there, including artist depression, anxiety, rage. Because as the road doggy, I will take it there. Now, no, I will. So, I mean, the same way that people are being so moved, women, by Queen of the Serial Killers, everywhere I go showing our documentary, there are tears. People are crying. They come up to me with their stories. And, which is then I can only retell you in the afterworld. But it's so important that these topics are covered, especially as somebody that doesn't have depression or anxiety, but I do have global rage. For us to have produced that with the help of so many of our wonderful friends, those miserable cunts, as I like to subtitle it, it's so important to address these subjects. I mean, it's why we create.
Exactly. It's been phenomenal for both the films, the Netflix and our depression film, how it impacts people so profoundly, because no one's really, the word rape just sounds like chair or a pillow or a fucking poster. Like,
That's
it
why I
doesn't
prefer
mean
soul
anything.
murder.
Yeah, it doesn't mean anything. And everyone's suffering from depression, chronic depression. So I just feel so happy to make art with you. It's a complete pleasure.
Well, and you know what, Jasmine?
Yes.
For some reason, my job is to, and every time we talk to each other, what? Make you laugh.
Yes, you do.
As the queen of depressos. And by the way, as one of the most depressed people I know, we had to do it. But also want to talk a little bit about our psychic readings.
Oh, yes.
Tight coven of variety of very select witches. I don't even know when we started doing these readings, and we've done some even in public in public settings, which were incredible. Of course, we prefer the private readings. I mean, that has also changed people's lives, because, as I like to put it, you have the ability to go back and pull out as because you have a you have an eighth sense that sees beyond the here and now, and I like to bring that information to the here and now and apply it to what people are going through, because whether it's epigenetic, whether it's historical, whether it's just the endless trauma and the cycle of abuse which carries on through our bloodline, that it has changed numerous people's lives when we do. And I don't even know how we began doing this together.
I think it was very organic. I think maybe you invited me over to do a reading for someone. And then
Yeah.
because no one knows how psychic you are, like an incredibly strong psychic, that I sit on my bed and I just think, oh, Lydia, I want to, and then the phone rings and you go, yes, like phenomenal psychic. So I think you just kind of joined in, and then we realized we're both psychic, probably in different ways, but it makes a whole. And especially if there's a lot of dead people there. Remember when we did Bibi Hansen and all the
I mean, it
Warhol
was a parade of
superstars?
the dead. And
Yeah,
the thing is,
you had to herd them.
I had to herd the dead, although I don't see the dead. You see the dead. I can herd the dead. I don't hear or see them, but I know how to corral them.
Yeah.
But I'm also thinking of some very specific things. And I'm thinking of when we did a friend of ours, and we were sitting there and you said something like Higson Creek, Hudson Creek, and it wasn't, but then you also said, I don't like that old man in the corner, because neither of us saw him. And you, I don't like him. And then you go, but I like that black man in the corner over there. We're like, okay. And then you started saying like Higson, Hudson Creek, and our friend, they weren't. We said sometimes you just have to go. You have to go away and investigate. And she found out that her great grandfather, who owned a plantation on Higson Creek, had raped and murdered some slaves, and then the black man in the corner who you favored had murdered the great grandfather, and then also she had been raped, and I felt that that was retribution against the crimes of the grandfather, and that was really that was a healing process for her too, to just understand how throughout some history we might not even understand ourselves, we can come in and sometimes just unravel what's going on there. I mean, and you know, whatever you believe or you don't believe, I've seen evidence. I've never heard a psychic say, for instance, the word clipper, and then somebody going, my grandfather invented clip art, and I was on a clipper sailboat, and my father tried to push me into the water. Or the name Riley. It's not like, oh, do you know a Riley? Oh my God, Riley was my rapist. I mean, I've the things that you pull out and that I can try to bring to the here and now, to try to, and it's really helped a lot of people, because there's a lot of ghosts in everybody's closet.
Yeah, they're really
and ghouls.
amazing.
The ghosts are not bad. It's the ghouls that I have a problem with.
Would you say universally you're sensitive to, say, ghosts or spirits, or is it like, you know, there's surprises, like a place that you would think, oh, or something bad happened, you would see something, and then someplace you think you know nothing about it, and all of a sudden there it is radiating.
Yes.
Why is it inconsistent like that? Like why are people, are they reaching out at that moment, or you're just more open at that moment? Like what do you think's happening there?
There's a lot of mystery that I don't understand, even though I do it. But I think what happens is I have a light bulb that the dead see. And so, especially ones with strong energy and talkers, they come. They're like a moth to a lamp. So they come there. And yes, I feel the energy of places like where a murder has taken place. There's
historical you go into history, sometimes ancient.
Yes.
Do you remember that one chiropractor who we'd never experienced anyone that we felt had so much repetitive history that went back so far, but also I don't choke on ghosts as much as I used to. I don't see them, but Tim, you've heard me.
Oh yes.
Sometimes I choke on ghosts. It's like, who died here? I don't see them, but I've been known to.
for whatever reason, because I don't know what's happening out there, but some of the weirder things I've witnessed, and I don't know if I was in a dream zone, I don't know what was happening, but he's consistently in Florida. I don't know why that is. And I remember once staying at this promoter's house in Jacksonville, and she's like, "Oh, you can stay in this room." And I woke up to this kind of granny in a rocking chair, but had this giant squid eye about the size of a basketball, and she wasn't happy I was there. I mean, I don't know. There was no talking, but I was like, "What is going on?" But this person's furious. And so the next day in the breakfast, I was like, "I had the strangest dreams last night." And the promoter said, "Which room were you in again?" I was like, "That one." She goes, "Oh yeah, that's where my grandmother died, and that's also where my uncle shot his head off with a shotgun in that room."
Okay, so all right, but Tim, you and I have had a lot of bizarre experiences where things just go from one place to another. I mean, it comes in phases. Like, well, we won't go into my vest being lost in your base case for 4 months, which you
that one makes no sense. That makes no sense because I'd gone through so many airport security checks, which they go through all my equipment all the time. And I've seen everything pulled out, and there was no leather vest in there. And then
4 months later,
then one day it's like I put my hand, I go, "What's this?" It's like, wait,
no, but we would
Lydia's leather
sometimes have
vest
jumping from one place to another, because I mean, you are a wizard. Tim is a wizard.
What
Remember
about
your witch's hands?
No, what about
Tim,
this?
Tim on acid once imagined his hands as 16th century witch's claws.
Oh God, oh yeah, that's true. I was possessed by a 16th century witch, and I wasn't upset actually. I was just like, "Oh, I have to deal with this now."
But some trees saved him.
A tree aborted the spirit for me. It literally sucked it out, and I was like sweating profusely. It was kind of incredible.
But then when we went back to see the tree in the morning, it was a minor shrub.
Oh no, it was like it was my spiritual version of the walk of shame because I saw it in sunlight and it was some crappy mall tree in the sidewalk. I was like, we don't know each other. I kind of had to walk away, and the trees were like, "Hey, but I saved your life." I was like, "I know, but I can't be seen with you." But
Jasmine, exactly. Jasmine, when did you start doing readings, or did you know you were touched? I mean, for instance, with me, I mean, I started hallucinating or experiencing my dead grandmother who died in bed with me when I was 6 in the basement of my house not long after that. And but I always was very, I wouldn't say I'm sensitive, I would say I'm more intuitive. Like I can, as a Sicilian, read people like a deck of cards. When did you first know you had this ability?
My mother and her mother were psychic. So I grew up with all these psychic stories. So it was just kind of a normal thing. But I didn't use it myself. Like I didn't even think about it. Then I guess something happened when I was 25. So then I tuned into it and then I realized I could do it. And then it grew from then.
And again, it's an intuition, but it's something beyond that as well. Like I would say, what I have is intuition, which is why I can tell when you're thinking about me. So I call you. Just saying. Yeah, I'm not stalking you.
Well,
Jasmine.
you know, I have a theory about intuition, and I think it's unexplained.
God is the second brain.
I think it's unexplained math brilliance, like physicists. And just being sensitive to how things phase and happenings line up, and you kind of just through observation with senses you don't even realize at a young age, you pick up on pattern recognition, and you have an idea of where it's going to land. And I think particularly, I know at least in the States, like men and women are the same in math and science about puberty, and then for whatever reason, boys are encouraged and girls are discouraged. And there's all types of studies on this.
A point about that, Tim, is children are very intuitive. They're very psychic. They have a lot of past life experiences. And again, to me, past life, to define what I consider reincarnation, is being able to tap in to the computer science of our DNA or of our molecular memory, as opposed to anything so spooky. I think it is more scientific and mathematical that within our DNA is all of history's agony. We all go back You know, we don't even know what happened beyond our grandparents for the most part. And all of life's history, all of life's agonies, wars, murder, love, joy is somewhere inside that computer code. And some of us just have a better comprehension or an insight. And as you said, it's kind of mathematical, but children are very intuitive. They often have past life. There's like geniuses at 6. Where does that come from? So it comes from tapping in, or I mean, children don't need to tap in, then they're tapped down and they lose the ability.
Society filters that out.
And also people don't trust their gut, which is, you have to trust your gut. Second doubt is, I mean, not that you don't question things, but to doubt what your gut tells you is to often do the wrong thing.
I think there's a matrix of information. That's the best way I can kind of see it, and you can pluck it out. And I would say, Lydia, that you're psychic. You're more than intuitive. Absolutely.
Well,
psychic.
That'll be $250 for a reading from me and Jasmine. You can just contact her on her Instagram. And we do it by phone, by Zoom. We have done it. We prefer in person, but trust me, it will change your life.
So I actually wanted to ask this. When you were filming, Aileen, is it Aileen or Eileen? How do you pronounce it?
Eileen.
Was she radiating when you got physically close to her?
Yeah.
What was vibrating in the room? Like, what were you feeling? Or was it cold? And was it kind of like, were walls up and then you just kind of press record, or was there something radiating that you were tapping into?
She was radiating. I think that there's some people who have the fame aura. Like, I have, walked in the street near a famous person and I feel their energy before I actually see their face. Like, they do radiate that. So Eileen, first, she had that, and incredibly warm and open, and it was like the jail just disappeared.
And this is after hundreds of correspondences with you.
Yes.
And yes. I'm sure felt finally she's being heard. She's being seen. She's being listened to. You put this grand effort into going to get her story, which everybody else was just, oh, well, blah.
Because basically I just said, here's the camera, go for it. Like, I didn't have any questions for her. I just thought she was the best one to tell her story anyway. So she was really happy. Her energy was phenomenal.
Also because she was finding God at that moment. She was going to meet her.
That's been a life. Well, yeah, she was getting close to death, I guess. No, it was still another 5 years before she died. But no, God's been part of her life since she was little, just trying to find something.
Perhaps the goddess of war, Holly. Maybe she had the wrong God in mind. Maybe we've been perverted by thinking that God is a grandpa in a white toga who tortured and killed his only begotten son and wants to perpetually torture us in a fire pit for doing what he thinks is wrong. Bullshit. Sorry, Aileen. That's where I argue with her anyway in these letters.
Was she in general population in prison, or was she in solitary? No. She was
death row is solitary, basically.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, she would have first gone into general population, right, Lydia? Until she got convicted. Her death sentence.
Yeah, the sentence.
Yeah.
Well, again, it's so rare that outside of the family, women kill anybody. And then their punishment is usually harsher. Although, I mean, look, outside of third world or Middle Eastern countries, the prison sentences here without any rehabilitation or any understanding of why people are driven to any kind of crime is, first of all, the highest population of not only prisoners, but then people on parole, and then entire families that are, victimized by a prison system that is a gulag, getting worse by the day with this whole immigration ice shit. Send people off. Criminals, 2%. They've caught 2% of criminals with hundreds of arrests. I'm just saying. I don't even know what the point was. The point is just why don't we understand? It's to me, it's like early bad murderous rap music. It's a symptom of society. Aileen was a symptom of society, not the problem of society. She had the problem of society, and she did the best and withheld as long as she could until she couldn't take it anymore. And men kill at random or abuse at random with far less, right? Instigation.
All
Hello.
these serial killers who have been murdering sex workers for decades, and
Well,
get
since,
away
since
with
the beginning,
it.
since the beginning of time.
And
Well, and you know
speaking,
what? Actually, they're trying to murder the little bitch inside of them. They're killing somebody they go to for sex and then want to kill them because they're trying to kill their own craven desires, wherever that first originated from, or whether it's revenge against the mother, the girlfriend that rejected them. But basically, they kill out of an insecurity that is going to make them feel more powerful by fucking somebody's severed head. Hello, Ed Kempner.
Yeah, but also Lydia, so Paul Verhoeven, the director, he has a script. Of course, he can't get funding on it, but his theory is the Virgin Mary, quote unquote, was actually raped by a Roman soldier and had to lie about it, because if back then in Rome, if you were raped as a woman by a Roman soldier, they killed you. They killed you.
Well, that's still happening.
That's still happening.
Well,
look,
I mean, that's
again back to soul
society.
murder. When you are raped by somebody, it's soul murder. Whether they get rid of your body or kill you or not, they are killing large parts of the feminine, the female psyche, or even if it's a young boy, the male psyche. I mean, rape is about power. It's not about sex, and it is about somebody that needs to feel powerful because they are weak and cowardly.
Well, I'd like to say that since the Netflix launch, I've had predators contact me too.
Whoa.
Speaking of these perpetrators that want to feel powerful, and of course, like I expected it. And
so they're trying to intimidate you into silence.
Yeah, I don't know. They want to hurt me, kill me. And I knew
because you're telling the truth
about
a situation.
Yeah. So yes. And what's interesting is they don't attack the film itself. They don't attack Aileen. They just attack me personally and want to hurt me and whatever. And so I've had to kind of deal with that too. That of course this film would evoke the predator.
Well, do you understand, Jasmine, why I do not personally do my online correspondence? That I have filters, because I don't give a shit whether you love or hate me. I don't need to hear about that. So I'm glad if you're interested in what I do, but opinion, love or hate, I'm used to it. I don't need it. I don't want it, because I feel that that's what also causes so much soul murder in young women and young men, is this internet bullshit of like hate, bullshit, safe in your little cubicle, insulting, attacking, bullying other people. And look, I'll be the bully against the real bullies, but you're not going to bully me. I'm not going to hear it. It doesn't bully all you want, but it's not going to get to me. I don't give a shit.
But I'm not
going to everybody who is bullied. All right.
I'm not going to block a channel for all these women to be able to contact me because of a few predators.
Maybe you just have to respond to these cunts by going ha ha.
I just forward them all to the authorities so they have all their information. And so if I end up being murdered, we have a beautiful suspect list and they can just go.
Well, and usually, let's face it,
I don't have to deal with them.
Those that brag about doing it don't do it.
No.
All right. I mean, that's a really lame ass criminal. Oh, I'm going to do this. Oh, really? Why don't you do your fucking self? I'm just saying. I mean, why do people have so much time to pick on anybody else who's doing something? Get a fucking life, get a grip on reality. Why don't you apply your bullshit to something that elevates people instead of trying to take them down because you're weak and you're a fucking coward and you sit in a safe cubicle. But, in this day and age, everything is surveyed. So you want to make some kind of false threat, you're under surveillance. All right?
They are. Mm.
I'm just saying, little bitch boys or bitch girls, I don't care. Ain't gonna get to me because I'm not gonna hear the fucking rabble, the rubble, the bullshit. I am there to bully the bullies and to speak for those that have been bullied. So does that mean I have become a bully? Bully, 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 bully. Well, personally, I'm not a bully. Timothy Doll, I'm the nicest person you've ever met. What a cunt-undrum. Anything else, my friends?
Oh, I can't think of anything.
Well, we're putting our film Artist Depression, Anxiety and Rage up for people to pay per view. It'll go up this week. We are having a big exhibition in Zurich in May. The Aileen Wuornos, Queen of Serial Killers, as if there's much competition. No, sadly there isn't. Is up on Netflix now. Was number 1 last when it first came out. I think it's number 2 now. Congratulations. Jasmine and I will continue to do our work as we do, making videos, doing photographs, doing psychic readings. Contact Jasmine. We can give you a psychic reading. It will change your life. Trust me, it has done that for many people. And Tim Dahl and I are leaving tomorrow.
We're leaving tomorrow, but this is going up after our first show.
All right. Well, we'll be in the Midwest for the next few days, and then we'll be in Miami at Churchill's on December
7th, maybe 6th as well.
I'll be there on the 6th, and you will be there on the 7th at Churchill's. That's true. So the beat goes on. The road dog is our road dogging it. And what more can I say? Jasmine, I'm so glad you ran up to me. I'm so glad we're going to continue kicking against the pricks.
And it's been too long, Jasmine. I hope to see you soon in the physical realm, not in the virtual one, but yes.
Well, it's hard to see me because I never leave my apartment except to go to Lydia's apartment. So,
all right,
well,
it may be difficult.
It's a good meeting place. Let's face it. We shall have a date soon, Jasmine. It's been a pleasure.
I do have one thing. This young woman who's in a band called Delilah Bond. Have you heard of them? They're an English band.
No.
They are phenomenal. She's written this song, Dead Men Don't Rape, and all her song, she's been banned from festivals because of the song. You can
What's
imagine.
What's the name again?
What?
Delilah Bond. And
how do you spell last name? B-O-N?
B-O-N.
Bond. Okay.
Yeah. And what her band is doing for young women, like all her songs are amazing about the amount of sexual assault we suffer, abortion.
A great t-shirt as well, not only a song, Dead Men Don't Rape. I love it.
Yeah, and the lyrics are fantastic. She's really bright girl. But I did want to, she contacted me about, the Aileen film, but I wanted you to see her work. She's amazing. And I found all these women who have written songs about Aileen Wuornos, and there's another woman, Grace Ford. So
we're also going to make more apparent my readings of Eileen's letters, which when you remember when we filmed it, I had to have the notes duct taped to your chest.
To my breast, yeah.
Well, it was the kindest treatment they probably had in a while.
Yeah,
Jasmine, you get me like nobody else, and there's nothing I love more than making you laugh. The most depressed person I know, who still, depression does not stifle you from creating. It is the reason why you create.
Yes,
and the fact that so many other people are depressed is why I create. And as for Tim Dahl, he helps back me up in my journey as the wizard that he is, and as somebody that truly understands women of all ilks, especially traumatized ones, and he just gets it. So, Tim, I love you, and I love Jasmine, and this is the Lydian Spin with Lydia Lunch and Tim Dahl and Jasmine Hirst. This is the Lydian Spin, and you know we're not going to stop. But we would appreciate any help we can get because, look, our mouths do not run on gas and air alone, occasionally food and drink. So if you wouldn't mind contributing, no contribution, too large or too small, because we're just going to keep going whether or not you help us out. Your gain, your loss.
The PayPal is paypal.me/TSD1975. That's paypal.me/TSD1975.
It would help. We're going to keep going. You know, we don't like to beg, and certainly we're not, but actually, it's a fucking command. Take it or leave it. Thank you. This is the Lydian Spin.